How's everybody doing? So I'm just doing a little demask here in the early process of painting this waterline hull. So I just want to talk about a couple things while I do this. So I've decided that it's very difficult to actually film, the process in action, like some parts, because paint flies everywhere. And I'm an intuitive painter, and I set up my shop outside for this kind of thing, and I just fly at it. There's no way a camera could keep up and follow me and everything. So I'd have to show it like this. But I want to talk about a couple things. So I'm going to cover some of the subsequent processes to show you what I'm doing. So this is the early part of painting this hull. So this is that black, the rattle can black, which I love. It's called matte black, but it's got a satin. It's really nice paint. But if you use this paint like the rattle can that I've shown by Tamiya, it's a kind of a chimera paint. Okay. If you read the ingredients on it, it'll blow you away. But make sure you wear a mask, because I got a whiff of that stuff outside, and man, did I ever feel it. It's awesome paint. It won't peel up if you put tape on it. I've tried every kind of tape on it, and it won't lift. So that's why you pay the money for it. Now this is Tamiya under here, but this is acrylic washes and things. So what I did here was I just mixed up some of my own colors intuitively. This is the first process. I'm going to go at this with a bit of Vallejo's touching up, and then probably some oil to bring out some of these other colors. I'll just show you this color right here. This is the Dora. This is an earlier Ferry. This is a really good example. Somebody was on the water here and they took this photo. But you can see, like, this is what this is going to look like. This is what the front of all these rail type ferries look like. They're all the same, basically. They're heavily weathered, but you can see the variation of colors there, right? See the fade? Like this here I'll do last, this fade, and then I'm going to add in this over these light spots that you see, which I did wet on wet. Like I had my airbrush and I soaked it down with water, because Tamiya acrylic, not this base coat, this is rattle can, but the Tamiya acrylic is awesome because you can mix it with IPA and water. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by chimera paint. When you get to know Tamiya and you work with it, you can achieve anything at utmost high quality. So this is kind of my go-to. It's the best photo that there is really for lighting and stuff. I really like that, and even the superstructure, and so that's a really inspiring photo. Whoever took that, I would give you the photo credit, but I got it off Google Images, so like there's not always a credit there all the time. But and then I cut up photos because I want to zoom in and do stuff. But anyway, so I just want to say one more thing in closing about painting. Like, I've heard people say this, and I get why they say, oh, the easy way. So if you see a title on something, so the easy way, I disregard those, because I'll tell you right now, there is no easy way to produce a model that you're going to really admire and respect. Okay, so it's not like, it doesn't have to be easy to accomplish it. Like, if it's hard, you can easily accomplish it if you're willing to do the work, right? The process, right? The layers. Okay, so when I hear people say, oh, this is the easy way to do, sorry, I don't buy it. There's no easy way to become a good painter. The easy way to become a good painter is to devote the time to it, to put the time in. It doesn't matter whether you're gifted or not. Like, I know lots of people that wouldn't call themselves gifted, and they're awesome painters, as good as most people I've seen. And it's time. And when you put the time in, you make the mistakes, you learn stuff, you try stuff, and you achieve results that are unique to your style of painting. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to mask off this bottom. I'm going to leave this now. Okay, I'm going to mask this off with Tamiya like a new line. Okay, and protect this, because this is a good basis now to work with by hand on the bench, and with some oils and acrylics, etc. So, and this, I'm going to mask it off and leave this open, and I'm going to apply some, like, maybe some German gray, like faded tone, or a little bit of white or green in the black, and just tone some of this down and get it ready as well, and then demask, and then I'll be able to basically paint the whole thing, like reconcile like the the weathering with the upper and lower hull. Okay. Okay, how's everybody doing? So I just want to show you another process or method, and everybody has their own style of painting. Like I've developed mine over many decades, and I evolved from oil, acetone, mineral spirits, which I don't mind, but I've basically evolved into basically almost all watercolor painting, especially the last decade or two, because it's such a nice, pleasant environment to work in. And I just throw my brushes into water and it's just no big deal, right? And the colors are vibrant and fantastic. So this is coming along here, like see this here? So I'm working from right to left here, but I want to show you how I achieve this sort of green, slimy, like an additional layer, okay? And here's a photo, like you can see this is a ferry hull, okay? So you can see that the true water line empty is right here. And then when the ferries or carrier is full, it's up here. So that's why you see this. It's not like a warship, that's already sort of the water line is established. Like they go up and down because they're displacement hulls, and when they get loaded, that's the way they are. So when they're sitting empty, or half full, they're like this shows. You see a lot of this variation. Like see the seaweed, barnacles, and then all this paint peel and slime, and just the color variation is just really crazy, right? So you can see I've got some of the base coats going here and stuff. Now I want to show you how I do some of this green sort of slime. And I'm going to point out these pencils that I really love. They're watercolor pencils. I get them from art supply stores. They're Faber-Castell Albrecht Dürer. They're made in Germany, and they're just fantastic, right? Like the highest quality watercolor pencils that you can use. And they're water soluble. Again, beautiful, right? Over top of acrylics. So I like to use two colors here. First, I like to use this, what you would call chrome oxide green number 278. I really like this for the darker starter part that I've done right here. And then I really like this color as well, earth green yellowish 168. So I'll show you what I do here, but let me just show you a quick sample of what some of them look like. So this is over Tamiya Flat White XF2. And you can see the pencil colors, right? Like I like to test, like on white. I always test things first, right? I never just go straight to the model. Even when I've done that, I retest again. But so you can see when you lay the pencil line on, and then when you basically add water, like it will activate the pencil line, right? And then when it dries, it'll seal itself. So what I like to do is use that photo for inspiration. And then here's the water line. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start scribbling in using some of the flood or tide marks that are already there from previous coats and colors, and just sort of work with them, okay? Chase them around. Oh, look, there's a bit of a blob. So I'm just going to color like around that blob. And then I'm going to build up a little bit right to the water line like this, just to build up a little bit of medium so that when I add water to it, it'll pool down. And when it pools down, what's going to happen is it's going to put another filter over this lighter sort of earth tone, which looks really, really awesome, okay? So that's probably quite a bit there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to take a regular synthetic brush, a number 6, which is common for this kind of thing that I like to use. And then I'm going to wet the bottom first here, okay? Just get that wet down first, quite a bit. And then I'm going to just dab it on like this, okay? And then let it run down. You can see it's running down, and then I'm just going to stay with it now, wet on wet, right? And just touching the little droplets as they run down, moving them around a bit, encouraging them along, and see how it's starting to pool up on the bottom, and it's actually contrasting quite well with the earth, you see. because this is going to be an algae is going to form here because it's getting sunshine and oxygen, not only from the water but from the air outside, and it's going to build up, right, as it's sitting dockside or in port. Okay, that's what's going to happen, and that's part of the look you're going to get. You can see some of the little dark spots of dark brown that'll work rust streaks onto those. And once again, this is 1/87 scale, right? You can achieve quite a bit on larger scale models. So I like to incorporate colored pencils, watercolor pencils in this case, with my acrylic weathering process as well. So if you want to have a little more control and add a few more effects as another additional layer, then you might consider that as well, okay? Hey, how's everybody doing? So I just want to talk to you about this hull. I had an unbelievable paint session today for 4 hours outside on my porch. And I was so in the zone that there's no way I could have involved a camera. It would have been too much of a distraction. And besides, I'd never use this lens because it would just, like, there's no way I'm getting a spot of paint on this lens. Not a chance, right? So, yeah, it just wouldn't have worked out, but I can explain to you what I did. So most of you know this is all styrene plastic, right? Okay, this is Baltic birch plywood taped over. The deck's all finished on the other side. So what I decided to do, and I've done this before, so normally I use, to me, a very thin, like, see how thin, well, this is super thin. It's just tinted, like, mostly IPA. And this was the cheap stuff my wife gets me for $2, I think, at the dollar store, 50% isopropanol. So it's easy to clean your airbrush. And, you know, I'll mention that, you know, I heard somebody say on a, I don't know, podcast a little while back, oh, I don't use my airbrush because I'm, you know, it's too much work to clean it. Well, guess what? I love cleaning my airbrush because you get rewards like this when you do. And it's easy to do with isopropyl and Tamiya paint, which I use almost exclusively. Now, I want to talk to you about these Tamiya rattle cans. So people have asked me about, you know, do you primer? Well, yes and no, but I don't always, like, this isn't primer, but I treat it like primer. So I painted this whole hull first with the rattle can of dark brown. I didn't like it. So then I painted over black. This is matte black. It's TS6. It's the Tamiya colors. It doesn't even say what it is. It doesn't even say, it just says Tamiya spray paint for plastics. It doesn't say whether it's acrylic or anything. Actually, it's a type of chimera paint. Like some of the ingredients on this, have you read them? Like they're like dimethyl ether, butyl acetate, organic solvents, mica pigments, you know, benzotriazole, acrylic resin, styrene, isobutyl methacrylate. I mean, it's unreal, right? Now, I shot this outside. If you use this paint, it's bulletproof and it's awesome. You can put any acrylic over top of it, even IPA, if you don't touch it with a paintbrush. But if you spray washes, IPA, it won't eat through it. It's almost, well, it's not impervious to IPA, but it's quite resistant, so you can achieve multiple layers over top to get this look. But if you're going to shoot this paint, do it outside. It's quite lethal. Like, this is tame compared to what this is. Anyway, it gases off for a while, but you can mask it to your heart's content. And I've never had it lift. So I've used all kinds of masking tape, Tamiya tape, cheap tape, you know, 3M, Scotch-Brite, and it does not lift the paint. So if it's clean, you know, I wipe the whole plastic down with isopropyl first before I paint. But anyway, this hull turned out beautiful. I'm so happy with it. Like, you'll see it at other angles, like, eventually. But so all these little areas I touched up with basically some of the Vallejos at the end with a traditional brush. But these are all washes, just IPA thin washes on here using the airbrush, etc. And I'm so happy with the way it turned out. I won't be flat coating this because I don't need to. There's already enough coats of paint on this, and Tamiya is bulletproof. And if you do flat coat, right, if you decide to do that, you'll lose a little bit of the oxidization. So it mutes it down a bit, but I love it the way it is, and I'm just going to leave it that way. But really, really happy. This is probably one of the nicest painted hulls I've ever done, and it's all Tamiya acrylic paint. That's the base coat, rattle can, and then of course I do little touch-ups, like here's light rust, you know, like around the anchor house here. I had to add a bit more. I just use a bit of water, dab it in, right? And these anchors will be painted soon, and they drop right in, these scratch-built anchors for, one on each side. So anyway, really happy, okay? So if you're gonna do a hull like this, remember, it's thin layers, right? Okay, there's about 8 on here of just thin washes over top of these two colors. And I find this to be one of the nicest base colors, dull red TS33 for boat hulls. It's just it's the perfect color, like, to build upon, right? Now, in closing, I just want to say, I love this paint too, because I can put oils on it almost right away. So I'm going to do the highlights here. I'm going to use a little bit of Naples orange to do a little bit of highlighting on this red part, and then a little bit of the highlighting and fade on the black and the gray. I'm going to use this Portland warm gray. These are the latest oils I've been getting. Hashtag no sponsor Gamblin, hashtag no sponsor Tamiya. These are really nice oils, actually. I love Winsor & Newton, but I also love these guys. They have a creamy kind of, they're just so nice, eh? Okay, so Carrier Princess is on the way, right? She's coming together, and I'm, excuse me, so happy I've got most of the hull done, because now I can peel the tape on the other side and start mounting the superstructure, which is getting close. And we're going to have a ferry for ferry ops very soon. Okay, cheers. Happy modeling, and I hope you have a great day.